Imagine living in a world where chaos surrounds you. People panic at every setback, complain about every challenge, and break down the moment life doesn't go their way. Now imagine you stand in the same storm, but instead of breaking, you remain calm, steady, unshaken. People wonder how you do it. They call it luck or personality or strength of character. But the truth is, this is no accident. It is the result of deliberate training, rooted in one of the most powerful philosophies ever created, Stoicism. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, lived in times far harsher than ours. Wars, plagues, betrayals, poverty, slavery. And yet, they built minds so strong that nothing external could destroy them. Their wisdom has survived for over 2,000 years, not because it's abstract or poetic, but because it's practical. It's about training the one thing you can always control, your mind. Today, we begin the journey of uncovering how to train a mind so strong that nothing, no loss, no insult, no failure, no tragedy can break it. This isn't about becoming emotionless or robotic. It's about becoming resilient, calm, and grounded. It's about learning to master yourself so deeply that the world, with all its chaos, loses its power over you. So let's begin with the first 2 Stoic habits that will help you forge this unbreakable strength. Habit number 1. Control what you can. Release what you can't. Epictetus, once a slave who rose to become one of the greatest Stoic teachers, gave us a principle that remains the cornerstone of mental strength. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. It sounds simple, almost obvious, but if you observe your own life, you'll realize that most of your suffering doesn't come from reality. It comes from trying to control what you cannot. You get angry because someone insulted you. You get anxious because the market crashed. You lose sleep because the future is uncertain. But here's the Stoic insight. None of these things are truly under your control. What people say, how the world unfolds, the twists of fate, these are externals. They belong to fortune, not to you. What belongs to you is your response, your thoughts, your actions, your choices. Think of it like this. Life is a chessboard. You can't control your opponent's moves. They may surprise you, trick you, or even play unfairly, but you always control your own pieces, your own strategy. The Stoics believed that true freedom lies here, in this narrow but powerful domain, your will. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who commanded armies and ruled over an empire, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice that he wasn't writing to others. He was writing to himself. Even the most powerful man on earth had to remind himself daily, control the controllable, release the uncontrollable. So how do we train this in our own lives? Start with awareness. The next time you feel anxious or angry, ask, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, let it go. This one question can cut through layers of mental chaos. For example, imagine being stuck in traffic. You can complain, curse, pound the steering wheel, but will that make cars move faster? No, that's outside your control. What's inside your control? Your attitude. You could listen to an audiobook, reflect in silence, or simply practice patience. That's Stoicism in action. Refusing to give power to what you can't change. A mind that understands this boundary becomes unbreakable because it stops wasting energy on the impossible and focuses entirely on what is possible. Habit number 2. Embrace discomfort and voluntary hardship. Modern society has conditioned us to chase comfort at all costs. We want air-conditioned rooms, fast food delivered at the press of a button, instant entertainment, instant gratification. But comfort is deceptive. The more you chase it, the weaker you become. Because the moment life throws something hard at you, and it always will, you collapse under its weight. The Stoics knew this well. That's why they trained themselves to embrace discomfort, to practice voluntary hardship, so that when real hardship arrived, they were ready. Seneca, a wealthy Roman statesman, often slept on the floor and ate the simplest of meals, even though he could afford luxury. Why? He explained, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" By exposing himself to discomfort, Seneca stripped fear of its power. He realized that even if fortune turned against him, he could endure. He didn't just preach resilience, he practiced it. In our lives, voluntary hardship can take many forms. Fasting, taking cold showers, walking instead of driving, reducing possessions, spending time in silence away from digital noise. These aren't acts of self-punishment. They are training sessions. Each time you endure discomfort by choice, you send a message to your mind. I am stronger than this. I can live with less. I can endure more. And here lies the Stoic secret. Comfort is not freedom. Discipline is freedom, because a disciplined mind can thrive in both luxury and poverty, in both ease and difficulty. A fragile mind, addicted to comfort, falls apart the moment life removes its toys. Think of Marcus Aurelius, leading his armies while living in tents, facing disease and war. Think of Epictetus, who was crippled as a slave yet built an inner fortress no master could conquer. Their strength didn't come from luxury. It came from training the mind to be at peace with hardship. So ask yourself, what small discomfort can you embrace today as training? It might feel inconvenient now, but tomorrow when life tests you, you'll discover that you are unshakable because you've already rehearsed hardship. Habit number 3. Master emotional discipline. Detach from reactions. Most people believe they are rational beings, but if you observe closely, you'll see that much of human behavior is simply reaction. Someone insults us and we snap back. A colleague receives praise and we feel jealousy. A plan goes wrong and anger overtakes us. Like puppets, we are pulled by emotions we barely recognize, let alone control. The Stoics believed that mastering your emotions, not suppressing them, but guiding them, was the key to mental freedom. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." In other words, the true danger is not the event itself, but the storm of uncontrolled reactions we create in our own minds. Think of a soldier standing in battle. If he panics at the first sign of danger, he becomes useless, even if he has the best weapons. But if he steadies his breath, calms his nerves, and acts with clarity, he becomes formidable. Your mind works the same way. Life throws arrows, insults, failures, betrayals, setbacks. If you react without discipline, you fall before the first strike. But if you master your reactions, you remain standing while others collapse. So how do we practice this? Begin with a pause. The next time anger surges or anxiety rises, do not immediately act. Count your breaths. Observe the emotion as if you are a scientist studying it. Say to yourself, this is anger. This is fear. This is envy. By naming the emotion, you create distance. And in that distance, you find power. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that people act out of ignorance, not malice. When someone does you wrong, ask, what is their good? What is their evil? If they understand not good from evil, why be angry at the blind? Notice how this transforms insult into pity, frustration into understanding. Instead of reacting like a puppet, you choose your response with wisdom. Emotional discipline also requires perspective. Imagine looking at your current problem from a distance of 10 years. Will it matter? Imagine looking at it from the stars, seeing yourself as a tiny dot on Earth. Suddenly, what felt enormous shrinks to almost nothing. Perspective dissolves the poison of overreaction. The strongest mind is not one that feels nothing. It is one that feels everything, but chooses carefully how to act. Anger, fear, sadness, these will always arise. The Stoic task is to recognize them, examine them, and then decide, do I let this rule me or do I remain its master? Habit number 4, Practice negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. At first glance, this habit may seem dark. Why would anyone spend time imagining worst-case scenarios? Isn't that pessimism? But for the Stoics, this practice, called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, was one of the most powerful ways to build an unbreakable mind. Here's why. Fear is born from the unknown. We avoid thinking about loss, failure, death, or misfortune because we believe ignoring them will protect us. But ignorance doesn't bring strength, it brings fragility. When the inevitable finally happens, it shatters us because we never rehearsed it. The Stoics flipped this pattern. Instead of running from dark possibilities, they faced them in advance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall meet with interference.' Ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." Notice the wisdom here. By expecting obstacles, Marcus was never surprised. Preparedness is immunity. Seneca took this further. He advised his students to imagine the loss of wealth, health, even loved ones, not to become cold, but to appreciate them more fully. He robs present ills of their power, who has perceived their coming beforehand. If you have already rehearsed loss in your mind, then when life delivers it, you meet it with calm instead of collapse. So how do we practice negative visualization today? Start small. Each morning, remind yourself, today I might be criticized. Today I might face delay. Today I might lose something I value. Do this not to invite suffering, but to strip suffering of its shock. Then when the day unfolds, you will be ready. If difficulties arrive, you will say, "I expected you." If they do not, you will be doubly grateful. Here's a deeper exercise. Close your eyes and imagine losing what you cherish most. Your job, your possessions, your status, even the people you love. Sit with the discomfort. Let it pierce you. Then open your eyes and see them before you, still here, still alive. Gratitude floods in. Suddenly what felt ordinary becomes precious. Negative visualization doesn't make you gloomy. It makes you fearless and profoundly appreciative. When you face life already knowing that everything can be taken, you become untouchable. Misfortune cannot surprise you. And when good fortune arrives, you embrace it with deeper joy, because you never assumed it was owed to you. Habit number 5, embrace voluntary discomfort. Train harder than life demands. Modern life seduces us with comfort. Heated rooms, endless entertainment, food at the push of a button, and medicine for every small inconvenience. While there is nothing wrong with using these advancements, the danger lies in becoming dependent on them. A dependent mind is a fragile mind. The Stoics, understanding this danger, deliberately sought voluntary discomfort to prepare themselves for inevitable adversity. Seneca advised, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition I feared?'" By practicing hardship on their own terms, Stoics dissolved fear. They discovered that what most people dread, hunger, cold, rejection, discomfort, is survivable. Once you know this, you are free. Think about athletes. A runner trains by enduring pain and exhaustion far beyond what they will face in an actual race. A soldier drills harder than real battle. Why? Because when the real moment arrives, it feels lighter than training. The Stoic mind works the same way. How can you practice this today? Fast for a day and realize you can survive hunger. Take a cold shower and discover you can withstand discomfort. Walk instead of driving. Sleep without luxury. Speak the truth even when it costs you. Voluntary discomfort is not punishment, it is rehearsal. Each act of chosen hardship engraves strength into your mind. You stop being terrified of losing comfort because you know you can thrive without it. A mind that fears no loss cannot be broken. Habit number 6, guard your mind, discipline what enters your attention. The mind is like a fortress. Strong walls protect it from attack, but if the gates are left open, the strongest fortress collapses from within. Today, those gates are our attention. Whatever you let in, through conversations, media, habits, becomes the architect of your thoughts. Epictetus warned, if a man has not first trained himself, he will find himself carried away by every impression. The untrained mind consumes gossip, outrage, endless distraction. Soon, it becomes restless, weak, and unfocused. On the other hand, when you discipline your attention, you strengthen your inner citadel. This means being selective about what you read, watch, and listen to. It means avoiding toxic conversations that plant bitterness in your soul. It means limiting exposure to noise that serves no purpose. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, wrote in his meditations about the need to withdraw inward. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Notice the wisdom. Strength is not only found in public victories, but also in protecting your private mental sanctuary. Practically, you can build this habit by creating rituals of mental discipline. Begin your day not with scrolling or gossip, but with reflection, meditation, or reading wisdom. Choose carefully the people you allow to influence you. Limit the time you give to distractions that drain you. Guarding your mind does not mean shutting out the world. It means training your gates so that only what strengthens you is allowed in. When you filter your attention with discipline, you build clarity, focus, and an inner peace that cannot be stolen. Habit number 7, live by higher principles. Anchor your mind in virtue. A fortress, no matter how strong, must have a purpose. Walls exist not just to keep out enemies, but to protect something sacred within. For the Stoics, that sacred center was virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Without this anchor, the strongest mind eventually collapses. Because strength without meaning is hollow. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the most powerful empire on earth, could have lived in luxury, arrogance, and indulgence. Instead, in his private writings, he reminded himself daily, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Notice how simple yet unbreakable this rule is. By living for principles greater than comfort, status, or ego, he ensured that no external force could corrupt his mind. Why is this the ultimate habit? Because a mind without virtue will always betray itself. Imagine someone who trains their body, controls their emotions, and avoids distractions, but lives only for greed, power, or vanity. Sooner or later, life's storms expose the emptiness of such pursuits. The Stoic mind, however, is anchored in values that cannot be taken away. Epictetus, once a slave, rose to become one of the greatest philosophers in history. His chains could be broken, his body beaten, his freedom stripped away, but his integrity remained untouched. He said, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can overpower my will." That is the essence of an unbreakable mind, strength rooted in principle. How can you live this today? Create a personal code. Define the virtues that guide you: honesty, courage, fairness, discipline. Then test every choice against them. If a decision violates your code, refuse it no matter how tempting. This gives your mind a compass stronger than fear, stronger than desire, stronger even than pain. When your actions align with principle, something extraordinary happens. You stop fearing external loss because you realize your true wealth lies within. You stop seeking validation because you stand on the solid ground of your own character. You become not just unbreakable, but immovable. Ask yourself, what kind of mind am I building? One that shatters at the first hardship, or one that stands like a mountain against the storms of life? Every day, through small choices, you train either fragility or strength. The Stoics were not superhuman. They felt pain, grief, temptation, and fear just like you. The difference is that they trained their minds to remain unshaken. And so can you. A mind built on these 7 habits becomes more than unbreakable. It becomes magnetic. People trust it, respect it, even fear it. Because deep down they know, here is someone who cannot be bought, cannot be rattled, cannot be conquered. Build such a mind, and you will discover a freedom that nothing in the world can match. a freedom not given by others, and therefore not vulnerable to being taken away. This is the Stoic path. This is the art of becoming untouchable.